Look at my super cute AI-powered voice note app.
It is super fun nowadays, and anybody can make an AI-powered app, just like I have.
And what if I tell you that you can actually do this in a day? Today, I'm going to give you my process of how to build this entire app using Cursor. And I'm also going to give you some really useful tips so that you can easily build your very own AI-powered voice note app. I'm somebody with a lot of ideas and my brain is always on. I find that writing things down or typing it out really calms me down, but I'm older now. You gotta watch out for that carpal tunnel. Also, sometimes I will be on the road and you can't really bust out a notebook then, right? So a voice note taking app would be really useful. And recently I saw a lot of these AI voice note taking or voice journaling app on the iOS App Store, but they all charge like a monthly fee, so I didn't really want to pay for it. So I decided to make my own, and you can too. This video would be broken down into 3 parts. The first part of why is it so easy nowadays to make such an AI powered voice note app. Number 2 is what tools I'm going to use to make this app today. And number 3, it's hands-on time where we get to make this app happen together. I'm sure you notice a lot more AI apps surfacing where you can talk to an AI or whatnot. And part of this is made possible by OpenAI, who came out with Whisper. Whisper is an ML model designed for speech recognition and transcription. So the backstory is that back in 2021, OpenAI were desperate for training data and they wanted to use YouTube videos and podcasts to train their LLMs. But to do that, they needed high quality audio transcription. So that's why they built Whisper. It was released as open source software in 2022. Whisper is great because it supports a ton of languages. It's really reliable, it's accurate, and it does really well even in noisy environments. You could be in cafes talking and Whisper will still do a really good job of transcribing what you said. So why is this relevant for us, right? Well, because that's exactly what we'll be using. OpenAI actually came out with an API, so then it's easier for developer now more than ever to incorporate this technology into your app. And the pricing of this is 0.006 per minute of audio process. So that's way less than a penny per minute. And that API is what we'll be using today to build this app. Okay, let's go over some tools that we'll need to make an iOS app. So I'm making an iOS app because I have an iPhone and this app is very much for me. Also, a fun fact is that iOS users on average spend almost twice as much as Android users on in-app purchases and freemium offerings. In the US, the market share of iOS is actually, I think, around 60% and Android is 40%, whereas globally, of course, it's a different story. Globally, I think it's like 71-72% for Android and then 28 or 29% iOS. But I think in the beginning, you should just make the app for yourself. So whichever phone you own, you should make that kind of app because you should at least be the one using it. Okay, so we'll need Xcode, which you can download in the App Store. And if you want to actually publish the app, you will need the $99 developer program from Apple. Cursor is what we're going to use to build the app. So it's an AI-powered IDE, basically a coding environment that has AI in place so that even non-engineers like me can build it. This is what most vibe coders use along with Windsurf, but Cursor is what I'll be using today. If you want to learn more about Cursor, check out these other videos. We're also going to use OpenAI's API to power the key feature, which is the audio transcription and summarization of the content in our app. We're going to need AI and LLMs help for brainstorming and churning out some code. So that could be your preferred model. It could be Claude, Gemini, GPT, whatnot. And we're going to design the app using a variety of tools. For me, I use Figma, Midjourney, Adobe Fireflies, and Illustrator, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever floats your boat. Superbase is optional, but if you want like a production ready, likely you want some authentication and database, which Superbase would make it a lot easier. For our purpose today, I don't think we're going to use it because I just want a quick MVP to demonstrate how very feasible this is. To make it production ready, that's a whole other level of effort that would take me a few days to complete a whole app. So we're not doing that today. Today, we're just banging out an MVP. Okay, now it's the hands-on time. I think to build any app, don't expect that you could one-shot it to build like the whole entire app. And instead, there is a process to this, and I think it will take at least a couple hours even for an MVP. So this is roughly my process here. There's the pre-planning phase, the setup phase, the breakdown task phase, the implement one by one phase, the debugging phase, and the UI improvements phase. This is generally the steps that we'll take today to build our cute AI voice note app. We're gonna go step by step. So the first step is the pre-planning step. In this step, we're trying to brainstorm what our app will be, and you're gonna chat back and forth with an AI. My tip here is that you should use deep research to create a technical implementation plan with the latest best practice. So here I'm using Gemini Advanced with deep research. I think Google has just been killing it. I really like what Google has been doing. And you can see here that my prompt is, hey, I want to make this AI powered iOS voice note app called BoboNotes. And I linked it to my product brief that I got from chatting back and forth with one of the LLMs. I'm asking them to help me build an AI powered iOS voice note app. And I want to make sure that this is something that you build in 2025 using Xcode 16.2. I wanted a well-researched implementation plan for building this iOS AI-powered voice note app in 2025 using the latest Xcode. Gemini is going to do some research and help me figure out what is the best iOS framework and services that's suitable targeting Xcode 16.2. Obviously, you want to chat back and forth with AI with the product brief as well. So I already have figured out what my key screens should be, what it should look like, what it should do, what function it should have. That part you just brainstorm with an LLM and kind of chat back and forth, and maybe even share screenshots of what you're envisioning to come up with the PRD. But on top of the PRD, make sure you have a technical, well-researched implementation plan. So that's my first tip. And then with the pre-planning done, we're ready to move on to the setup phase. In the setup phase, you are going to download a few things. There's Cursor and Xcode. Basically, what we're going to do is follow the best practices here under docs.cursor.com. They have a Swift guide that talks through what do you need to install to make sure that your Xcode development process is more seamless. So there's just a few things that we need to install here, and I've listed them out over here. What you're going to do is you're going to open up Xcode and you're going to create a new project, select app, and then you're going to go click next, and then BoboNotes is the name of my project, and then just create the folder where you usually have your development files. It doesn't really matter. And after that, you're going to open up Cursor, you're going to open the project and select the project folder you just created. You'll notice here that the files are the same, and that means the folders are linked. So there are a few things that we're going to install. Basically, SweetPat and Sweet language supports, and these three commands are what you need to download in Cursors. Open up Cursor over here, and the first thing is installing the extension. So if you tap over here, or you can expand this, you'll see extensions. So you're going to click on that and you're going to search for SweetPat. And so you're going to click install. I've already installed it. The other one that you want to install is called Swift Language Support. I think it's the most popular one. So just download it. I've already installed it. So I'm all set. Now put this caret over here and you can select SweetPat. Basically, you go over here, select SweetPat, generate build server config, and then selecting your project and it will run. Then over here, you're going to click this toggle panel at the bottom to bring up the terminal. You can also press Command J to do that. We are going to use the terminal to install some of the other items, which is listed over here. Copy this and then go over here, pasting it in. Brew install Xcode build server, and then now it's downloading and done. Next, we're going to copy brew install XC Beautify, pasting it in. Oops. Brew install XC Beautify, and then the last one is brew install Swift format. So you just have to install those. I've already installed them. That's why you see the warning. Now that you've installed all of these, you're ready to go into the next step, which is breaking down task. Now, what we're going to use is this thing over here called Claude Taskmaster. A lot of YouTubers have talked about this. It's an AI-powered task management system that allows you to take a project and breaking it down into smaller tasks so then the AI is more likely going to complete it. To use this, the instructions actually really simple. We're going to install it through MCP, which is recommended. By the way, I have other videos talking about MCP servers and what it is that you can watch over here. So you can again put a right caret over here and just click on cursor settings, and you can go to MCP over here, and then you can add new global MCP server. What you're going to do is click on that and copy this whole thing over here and replacing your own Anthropic and Perplexity API keys and then pasting it in there, and then just toggle this so that it's green because you want to enable it. And after you've done that, you've successfully set it up. And so the command to copy then is over here, prompting to AI to initialize Taskmaster. Make sure you have agent selected over here in this chat and then asked to initialize Taskmaster. For some reason, the Taskmaster didn't immediately initialize, but no worries, you just chat with it and answer the questions. Now you can see that they called an MCP tool, and you'll see on the left-hand side that there are new files that has been created, right? So there's script, and under script folder, you'll see an example prd.txt. Once you see this example prd.txt, you can rename it to just prd.txt, and I'm actually going to replace all of this with the notes that Gemini came up with through deep research. Now that you pasted this in, you're ready to move on to the next step. You can just ask the agent to use prd.txt to break down the task. Remember, I've already created an Xcode app. I just usually like to add that because otherwise they might create another file or something. Now it's calling the MCP tool. They have successfully generated 10 initial tasks from your prd.txt. What we're going to do is click on task and just go to task.json. You're going to take a quick look, and for some reason, this isn't tailored to my PRD. So these tasks is very generic and isn't specific to my project. You can see that it's front-end project with chosen framework. This is very generic. So what I'm going to do is ask the agent to regenerate it and remove these tasks. Rerunning the process, instructing the AI to focus on the phases and tasks outlined. Now you can see if this makes more sense. Looks like they broke it down into 15 steps. That's a lot. Earlier, it broke it down to 15 tasks, but I think that's too long for me to film this in one day. So I just told it to break it down into 7 tasks at most. And now this is what it looks like. And you can look at it task by task. You can also just double check using the terminal. Type in Taskmaster list. You'll see there are these tasks that are created. Now that we've broken down tasks, we're at the implement task by task step. You can see that I'm asking cursor to work on task number 1. Can you work on task number 1, please? I've already created an Xcode project. While cursor is doing this, we can look again at task number 1 in more detail. Task number 1 is creating a new iOS project, which we've done already. Set up the project structure according to the PRD. So that's what cursor is doing. And then configuring info.plist with NS microphone usage description, create secrets.exe config file for API key storage, and add to git ignore, link secrets. So you can see this is what we need to do in step 1. Even though it says it's done, we're gonna go to Xcode and see if it runs. You'll see here that there are some warnings over here. There are some things that I already know that needs to be worked on, even though they said it's done. Because right here, it says configure info.plist with NS microphone usage description, but I didn't see anything related to that. I am going to ask it to review task number 1 and give me detailed instructions in setting up an Xcode. Walk me step by step and give me clear instructions to what I need to do manually in Xcode. Because there are some stuff that you probably need to do in Xcode that the AI agent just assumed you know how to do or that you did. So the first tip that I have in terms of iOS app building is making sure you ask for detailed setup instructions. So let's review it. It's asking me to create the secrets.exe config file. I'm going to ask it to do that for me. Now you can replace this with your key. You just need to paste the OpenAI key, which I'll do, and you should do the same thing too. And this should be part of git ignore. Now that I've added this, we're going to link it to the build configuration. Again, the reason why you ask for detailed instructions is so that they would walk you through this. So go to Project, Info tab, and Configurations. Following the instructions, we're going to go over here. Over here, you can set the configurations under Info. You can select adding it over here, selecting it, and then same with the release. And for now, that's what you need to do. After that step, we're gonna set up info.plist over here. Go to the target BoboNotes, click under info, and somewhere over here, you can select any of these. You can click add, and it will add a new option, and you want to search for privacy and find the option microphone usage description, and in the value just copy this. They already gave it to you. I love this because the agent even gives you the message to input into Xcode. So over here, you just have to click over here and paste in the microphone message. And now you're gonna add another role over here. And this one is gonna be OpenAI API key. So make sure it's the same thing, OpenAI API key. For the value, you're gonna copy this blur. See how I'm just copying what they're telling me to do over here? This tells Xcode to substitute the value from your secrets.exe config file during the build process. And just now I noticed there are two content views over here. Make sure that there are no duplicate files like that. I told them, and then they removed one. So now it should be the correct one. Even though they said this should complete the necessary file structure changes for number 1, mark as done, we're going to not move on. We want to make sure it builds at the end of every task. We need to test run the build before proceeding to the next task. So there are a few ways to do this. You want to clean the build. So what you do is go to Product, Clean Build folder. So Shift Command K and then Command B to build again. And if the build succeeds, that's when you can move on. If it doesn't succeed, you do not want to move on. You want to fix this task so then this task runs before you move on to the next task. One thing I want to make sure you're aware of is SweetPad. Remember what we installed, SweetPad, right? So SweetPad, the reason why you want to install it is because it's going to make your life a little bit easier, because it will allow you to run the app and kind of check out the problems and debug on your computer. So you'll see here, this is what my app currently looks like. I now have these 3 items on here. You can also run it on Xcode. And now you can see that my phone has the same screens as the one that's created from SweetPad if you run it on Xcode. Earlier, I just did task 1, but you could see that I went back and forth. I was debugging a little bit. There were some stuff that didn't make sense to me that I chatted with the AI. But now that it built, I am ready to move on to the next task. Now that we're ready for task number 2, we just say run Taskmaster and start task number 2. If you go to task number 2, you'll see what we have over here. It's creating the journal entry model with Swift data and implementing the persistence layer. The first step is to implement the journal entry model and the mood. Should I go ahead and start? Make sure you review my existing project structure before creating and deleting any files. In Cursor, you can select different agents. My recommendation is that you choose a model that is latest and also free, because it adds up if you use a paid model. But if you have the money, of course, go ahead, go for it. I try to use a later model because when you're building iOS apps, and if you use a model that's 2 years old, they don't have the latest knowledge about Xcode, and it can make your life a lot more difficult. So when possible, try to use a later model. One thing I forgot to do, which I will do after task number 2, is version control so that you can revert. Actually, this step should be right after task number 1. Once your build runs and build successfully, you should commit your build so you can roll back if something happens in task number 2. It says it's done, and then I'm going to build it and make sure there's no errors. So it looks like it built, and I'm going to show you here. They said task number 2 is done already, but I'm just going to make sure this runs so you can play. I'm going to run SweetPad to make sure this builds. Okay, it seems to, and it runs. To version control this, you're going to create a project on GitHub, and I'm just going to copy this, then pasting it into here. So you can actually ask the agent for help in committing. Now that this is done, you should be able to see it here. There's no more new updates. This is another way you could do version control, but I wanted to push to GitHub so I can access it anywhere whenever I want. So you will be able to see it in the code. The code's updated. There's a README. Now that you have done task number 2, you did version control. You've so far learned these 3 tips: detailed setup instructions, version control, use more recent LLM models. We can start working on task number 3. I'm asking Cursor to do task number 3. Task number 3 has to do with audio recording and playback service. So hopefully by the end, we can start testing recording. Now that it's done, you want to clean the build and build it. Okay, now I'm on my phone. I think what we want to do is try the record. Looks like it's not connected to the view. It built successfully, but I can't see it. They said you're going to do it in task number 6. So you should just mark task number 3 as done. So we'll follow what the AI agent said and say, okay, task 3 is done. So now I'm asking it to update these changes. Because it runs, I'm going to let it slide and just move on to the next task. Task number 4 is OpenAI service implementation. So create the OpenAI service to handle the API calls. We have this OpenAI service Swift. You're going to transcribe using Whisper and implement functions for GPT analysis using chat completions API. Let me just take a look over here. Okay, perfect. So it had the prompt that I gave it, the system prompt and everything. This looks good to me. Let's make sure it builds, clean the build first, and then build succeed. At the end, you can make sure that they review the entire task and make sure everything is done. In this case, they said, okay, there's something that maybe you could implement, which is the retry logic, and it adds complexity. Do you want to do it? And I'm going to say yes. Add some basic retry logic for me. Okay, now that they added the retry logic, let's see if it runs. There's a warning. Got a warning. And now the build succeeded. Because it runs, we're done with that. Task number 4, see how quickly this goes. And I have it pushing to GitHub. And now it's running the next task. Task number 5, this is the recording and processing UI implementation. So this is when they are going to have more visual effect. And hopefully by the end of this, we are going to see some UI updates to our app. And let's try to run it on SweetPad. Now you will tap to record and you should be able to see this notes, which was the note that we inputted in the info.p list earlier in Xcode. We're going to click aloud and let's see if it records. Stop processing your entry and you can see that something is happening. You can see on my phone that there's this message we inputted earlier. You can now record analyzing text. It's saved. Hi there, I am recording and learning about how to make an iOS app. Analysis complete, done. You could see this piece is done and you also look here as well. You could see the title reflecting on challenges and growth. This is generated from the OpenAI API and you can see the file is created. It looks good to me. So let's go back, make sure task number 5 is done and it built. So there's no more warning. This looks good to me. I wanted to commit changes and push to GitHub, calling the MCP tool. Push to GitHub, ready for the next task. Task number 6 has to do with entry detail and home views implementation. Hopefully by the end of it, we can start toying around with this. When task number 6 is done, we clean the build folder and we build again. And now you'll see this over here. Let's try it. I'm just really happy that I can record my voice. Transcribing, analyzing, analysis complete, done. Let's see if it's there. Okay, awesome. See that this is there already. Isn't that beautiful? And let's see if it plays back. Let me see. Okay, so I think the playback sounds a little bit weird, but let me try it on my phone. The conversation that's most important are the ones that you have with yourself. I'm going to play it. Oh, playback error. It's interesting because I could not play back. So this is when you are debugging and you want to show them, give the error. When you get an error, just go to the Issue Navigator tab or the debug area in Xcode and copy the errors, then paste it into Cursor and have the agent fix them. And then building it again. Okay, now it's the same one. Let's click on it and play back.
The conversation that's most important are the ones that you have with yourself.
Woohoo! Yay! Okay, so now that this plays back well, I think this task is pretty much done. We can take a look again. By the way, this is super enabled and made so easy because of OpenAI's API. Anybody could do this. It's not just me. Anybody could do it. Okay. So now that this transcription app is done, there's diary, reflection. It categorizes. I love it. We were able to run it. We can do the playback. It looks fine to me. It's not bad at all. And it has cute emojis and whatnot. It has my mood, it has a summary, it has a transcription, and it allows you to play back. Let's go to task number 6. You could run Taskmaster again to see what else is left. Number 2 still says in progress. Maybe we forgot to mark it as done. We're at entry detail and home views implementation. I think we've already done that. It looks like we actually completed most of task 6 when we implemented task number 5's UIs in the subsequent fix. Fully implemented with the list, navigation, and row display. The connection to save entries also implemented. Add basic search or filter functionalities. Yes, that sounds right. Please add the search functionality to home view.switch. Okay, we just need to do home view and connect the successful recording flow to create and save new entries. Oh no, there's something that's crazy though. They just committed my changes even though I didn't approve it yet. That's the YOLO mode for you. Whoa, it's like speeding through things. Wow, that's the first time I saw that it just ran ahead without consulting me. And again, it built. Hi there, I am really excited about dinner tonight. I think I'm going to have some sushi. Okay, done. Then you can see it here, anticipating a delightful dinner. Oh, and it has the cute sushi thing because I want to eat sushi.
Hi there.
Okay, so it looks like it's recording. Oh, so the thing that we implemented is the search bar over here. So over here, you can now search for sushi. And if you search for sushi, it will be right here. This agent forgot to implement this filter that I wanted. They added search, but not the filter. So now it's doing that, but it's committing again. That's crazy. It just keeps going. This is going too quickly for me. Suddenly something changed. It's like this model is so much more proactive than before. What the heck? Okay, I guess this is all. And then you can filter by today I learned. Reflection entries are there. It's weird that this moves around. It just did task number 7 for me without me telling it to. I want to walk you through task number 7, but this AI agent just did it for me without my consent. Task number 7 is complete the end-to-end flow, add error handling, and polish the MVP UI delivery. Okay, let's look at this again. Pad. This is what it looks like now. They polished it. Yes, and for some reason it links to my GitHub repository. That's cool though. You could see this is done. You could delete an entry if you want. I'm not going to do that just now. The only thing is I don't like the filter being on the top. Okay, so I just wanted to tweak that one thing, but you could see that our app, in terms of the functionality, it's fully there. What it keeps committing. Something is so interesting because all of a sudden this YOLO mode is really pushing all my changes. It's okay. I guess I'm okay with it because this is just an MVP build for me. And so what I'm going to do is running it here for you to see. I updated this so then you can see the filter over here. So now we have this layout over here. We have, generally speaking, the features and what it looks like. So this app is now feature complete for the MVP. Oh, you can see on my phone, it's running. You can see all the filters working perfectly. And you can see the record button. I think I spent 1 hour or something, not even 2 hours yet on this. And you can see that it's a pretty good MVP right now. But we're going to make it even better by making it beautiful. We're again going to work with agent, but now I'm not going to use too much of this task manager anymore. Some tip here is to use the design app that you have or whatnot and design an app and just tell them what you want this to look like. I have a mock-up already that I did a while ago. I want the app to roughly look more like this. And so now if I want it to look like this, I can work with the AI agent to do this. but I need to upload some things first inside the assets folder. So if you go to Xcode and assets, this is where you can upload the app icon and other assets. I'm just dropping in all the kind of UI thing that I have, and after you uploaded it, then you can tell AI what you want your app to look like and have them help you fix it. Okay, now it looks like this. I think they want me to rename this to mascot, so I'm gonna rename this. I also need to go to info plist to add my custom fonts. To add these, you're gonna add it over here. Just add the file names. Make sure you copy and paste and add all your fonts here. Okay, now that I added the assets, this is what it looks like right now. I thought this was a little bit strange. Okay, I fixed the date and time. Now it clicks, but there are two right arrows. The good thing about having SweetPat is that you can just screenshot by pressing this and then pasting it in here to debug. Now you could see that my app, there's some filters. I think I like this background a little bit more. I'm tweaking a few more steps and then we should be good to go. I need to also tweak this screen and the entry detail screen. It looks good to me over here. I think clicking on here matches the style a lot more now. The UI is coming together pretty neatly. My app is close to being done, but I realized that there were a few more tips that I wanted to share with you guys that I haven't. So if there's a bug and you just can't solve it, there are a few things you could try. Number one is you could try Composer, like using the manual mode. And how you could do that is instead of agent, you would just use manual. This is what they called Composer back in the day. I find that sometimes if agent doesn't work well to solve it, maybe just using the manual mode, sometimes that's the trick. Another tip is that you want to ask the agent to add more loggings so you can identify what's going on. You can also use a web and get the agent to search for latest best practices, especially when it comes to Xcode. Lastly, this is just what I like to do. Sometimes I'm like telling the LLM that, oh, your junior developer screwed up and please act like a tech lead and fix this for them. And sometimes that works too. So those are my few iOS app building tips. And for minor tweaks, you can actually ask the agent to point you to where in the code it affects, and you can change the margin or whatnot. For example, I say it's a speech graphic and they called it speech bubble graphic. That's why it's not showing up here. Just update the name yourself in the code and run it. Speak your heart out. So now this looks more aligned with what I like. But in a way, it's like HTML and CSS. I'm just making sure that this looks right to me and it's the way I want it. After some tweaking, my app is completely done. You can see over here, it's super cute. And I can record and I can say something like, I am having such an amazing day building iOS apps. And you can stop it and it will transcribe the audio. Done. And then it will show up on this homepage right here with a summary. You can easily tweak this, by the way. You can go to OpenAI service. Right here, the prompt, you can tweak the prompt, the system prompt that you have for OpenAI. And you can change the tone, change whether it's a summary or a coaching thing. This one, I think it's actually more like a coaching prompt. And then there's a transcription. You can listen to it. I am having such an amazing day building iOS apps. See? So that's it. And I do know that I'm going to get called out in the comments saying, oh, you're vibe coding. This is not feasible, whatnot. And guys, it's an MVP. At least you can use it and play around with it. I mean, instead of paying $9.99 a month for those apps, you can make your own and use it for yourself. And if you want to make it production ready, what I would do is probably implement like Superbase for authentication and setting up your own database. Then maybe asking an iOS developer to just double check that everything is secure before you launch it. Now, this one is just an MVP. I just want to demo to you that in one day or in one weekend, you can totally create this project yourself. It's super fun to build. And my goal is really to inspire you to not be fearful of AI, not be fearful of vibe coding, and instead just learn it and use it and do cool things with it, because I think that there is pros and cons with AI and we shouldn't be fearful. Like, there are things that we can control and there are things that we can't control. And right now I can't control that one day AI is going to take over the world. But what I can control at the moment is building cool stuff with it. I hope you just don't give yourself too many any excuses. Instead, just try it, just do it. It's really fun, and let me know how it goes in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please hit the like or subscribe button or notify button because it will really help this small channel out. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.